Yo, what up? It's your boy 2FR Bucket Ad Beats. Thanks for tapping in. How we feeling? How we living today? Today we gonna be doing a mixing tutorial in FL Studio. So I have FL Studio here. I've gone ahead and constructed the foundation for my beat and added my drums and everything. So I started with this piano. We're at 167 beats per minute, and then F sharp minor. This was the piano I had started with. The bass notes hitting down here. Alright, and this is just, you find this is a chord, but it's just shortened, you know what I mean? And then another one back. Just play around with the notes. This isn't a melody tutorial, so I'm not going to go into depth with that. Added a string, a vocal, another piano layer, and then another string layer. And the string layer is nice because this first string kind of layers into that second string real nice. But this is what the melody sounds like. Alright, just something cool and not mixed yet, so we're going to go over the mixing here. And then I also added my drums. So I got an 808 in here, a snare, and a hi-hat. And all together that sounded like this. That high energy, alright? So as you can see, I've already named my instruments here. Piano, string 1, Vox, piano 2, string 2. But to do that, we're going to do that for our drums here because I always like to do that before I send them to the mixer track. So you're not trying to figure out what's what down in the mixer, right? So shift left click, and then you can rename. So we got 808 here. Shift left click, hi-hat. Again, then we got the snare. I didn't use the clap, so there's no need to do anything with that. We're going to click here, double click, and it'll highlight everything. And then I already did this, but if you left click, double left click, and then drag over, we have 9 tracks, so highlight all these. You hit Command L, and it's going to bring them all there. And again, we're not using the clap, so we don't have to really worry about that. Right click, and you can do reset to default, and then it's not named anymore. We get it out the way. Option and left or right on the pad here, and you can move it. So we got our instruments down here. What I like to tend to do first is my melody, and I'll just start with my main instruments, which is going to be that piano. So I'm going to let those play and do a little bit of mixing on them, and I'll talk through and everything and why I'm doing everything as I'm doing it. So we'll start with the piano 1 and see what that sounds like. Put an EQ on it. You're going to go to type, and then a high pass here. That's going to cut off this low end. We're just going to drag that over to maybe between 100, 200 hertz. Just get rid of some of that low end so when our 808 is booming, we ain't getting the clashing for the frequencies here because your low end 808 takes up this space in here, you know what I mean? So we take that out from the piano, maybe boost some of the highs. I always like to put a reverb on my piano, and everybody knows the reverb is Valhalla vintage verb. You could use a stock reverb, don't really matter, but turn down the decay, our mix, and the pre-delay. Also on a low cut, so it ain't that muddy in the low end. Hit it with a compressor, and I always just use the stock fruity compressor here. And you go over to a leveler. We just want to make sure that it's evened out throughout the time that it's playing. Gives it that oomph in the mix too. I'm gonna turn this down in the mixer a little bit now. I usually like to have my melody and most of my items from my melody around 9 to maybe 13 decibels. Just depends on the song, how loud the instruments are, but this is what this is sounding like. I pulled it back a little bit in the mix. If you wanted to, like I said, it all depends on what you're going for, but like I could throw Portal on this or some Shaper Box. I actually do like using Shaper Box. If you use the pan, you hit this and you go like ×2 a couple times, and then turn the mix down to about 50 or so, right? And then you add this on and add this filter. You can really choose any of these, but I tend to go for this one, and then double click that about 3-4 times. You get a bunch of lines like this. What you can do is pull the cut up, because this is what it's doing regular right now. Ready? Listen. Oh, I can't lie, that's kind of fire. But I like to pull this cutoff up so that way it just gives it a bounce, like a natural bounce to the sound, because it's cutting out some of those frequencies that's passing through. So it sounds like this. Turn the mix down a little bit. And then we have our backup piano we're going to add in now to give it that depth back, because it's a little hollowed out with taking out those frequencies. So piano 2 here. Do an EQ on this. Go to high pass. Cut out that low end again. We'll bring a little bit of this down in this because we brought it up in the other one, but we'll bring up a little bit of these mids. Bring that down in the mix, and we'll throw a reverb on that, make it bigger, give it a little bit more space in the mix. It's not so direct. Do the same thing, but I always do about the same settings for my reverbs. Turn the mix down to whatever you want, really. If you want that heavy reverb, we turn it up, but the KO is around 2 and a pre-delay around 10 or so, and then that usually works for me. I like to turn that bass multiplier down too. We'll add back in our strings. I'm not a big fan of that little vinyl sound at the end, so I'm cutting some of the highs here, just to take some of that away so it's not so prevalent. Go to our other string, add an EQ on that too. Add a reverb to this one. You said reverb on your like melody items and stuff, it's cool. Like if you had like a big reverb bell, like, you know, but like just adding a small bit of reverb just gives it that space and gives it a little bit more depth, I feel like, that you might need for some stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get our Vox last, our vocal. Put an EQ on this. Mix the EQ, you want to take out like a good amount. You want it to be in the background. Obviously the EQ, the vocal of the track is going to be the artist. So any vocals you add to a track, you want to keep them in the background. You can keep them prevalent and sounding good and, you know, there, but a little far back. Unless your melody is just constructed around vocal, then, you know, that's different. But for this, we want this to be layered in the background. So I'm going to cut out a good amount of frequencies. So it's just, you know, kind of softly tucked behind everything. I throw a reverb on this, get it big, turn this down to probably about 3. I have a Slate Digital, and this comes with this meta pitch. I've been using this quite a bit on my, they just came out with this, I think, but I've been using this quite a bit on my vocals recently. Gives it a cool, cool effect. Just gotta find the right one. Probably a little bit more of I can hear like low frequency coming through more, so I'm gonna go ahead and put another EQ on it with that low and just get out some of those lows. left click, like double click and drag, highlight all your instruments. You're gonna right click, route to this track only. Now we have our instrument melody bust over to this, and we're gonna go ahead and hit this with like a compressor. Level it all out. Usually get it hidden between like 3 and 6 decibels, and then I'll just pull it back in the mix a little bit from here. See what this hi-hat is hitting for. Again, we just want to take out low frequencies. Like, we want to make sure that 808 has space down there. And I'm actually going to cut out a little bit of this high frequency in here. Turn our hi-hat down like that around 12 usually. Add in our snare. Hit an EQ on that. Just get rid of some of the lows that might be hanging out. See, go to about 100. Boost a little bit of this. Now there's a free version of this plugin, Diablo by Cymatics, and it has the punch and the clip in like 2 of these knobs. If you want to get the free version, this is a good drum plugin to make your snares, your kicks, your 808. They have a bunch of presets in here. 808, drum buses, kicks, lo-fi, snares, but really the punch and the clip is really gonna make, like, this makes your snares and claps, whatever, hit. Go ahead and cut off some frequencies. We'll go to about 100 hertz down here on the low end. Turn the mid up about 2. Turn the high down 1. The low down. I like turn the mix down a little bit, and then let's see what this is like. Really gives it that punch, like really without. It's there, but with it, gives it that cut, and you have the width here. You can really like stereo-wise it, but I only do that a little bit. You can add some heat, some boost, some body. So you can give it like saturation, sizzle, a little top end. And the snare usually hitting around 3 or so. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the lows again. Now my favorite part is the 808, because I love 808s that be hitting. Sorry, we want a low pass here. We want to cut off some of the highs. We're gonna boost. We're gonna cut just a little bit of the like end low end that really you can't even hear, and we're gonna boost that 200 a little bit. Maybe. This is from Slate Digital as well. This is called Infinity Bass. And I put this on all of them, like punchy type of 808s like that. We're going to turn that frequency all the way up, the amount. The character, I like to go to 4 to 5, and the output gain about 2, 3. We'll see. When you hit listen here, it'll actually just show you what the plugin is doing. Ready? So this is regular. And then this shows you what it's doing. It's really giving us that punch that we're looking for with the 808. I'm going to turn the amount down a little bit just because I feel like that's a little too punchy. And then we go ahead and hit it with a soft clipper. Turn the post, like the volume up a little bit, because we have a soft clipper on our master channel, so nothing's peaking, everything is getting clipped at that level, so we can really punch this through. We'll hit everything together and see what it's sounding like. Bring that that low end down just a little bit. Right click, split by channel, left click one, shift, click up the top or the bottom one. You can highlight them all, drag them over, Command B, paste them a bunch of times, delete, delete, delete. Now you have a beat. Okay. I'd probably go in and maybe add a crash and some like risers or, you know, different like transition parts to this, but just a general mixing. And to be real with you, on my master, I don't do much more than a fruity soft clipper. Sometimes if I'm getting like, you know, like creative and just want to try different things, you know, I'll put the EQ on there and EQ a little bit on the master. But in reality, like, you don't need a crazy amount going on the beat for a master if you're trying to sell beats, because you're somebody that really is doing something with the music, right, and they get a beat from you on your BeatStars, whatever. Most of the time, if they're, you know, serious, they're gonna get the waves and the stems and all that for the beat, and then whoever's doing their song is most likely gonna go in and adjust the levels and do different things anyways. So it's like, you don't need to go crazy. You get the sounds hitting in sound selection, you make things sounding right, you know, by picking good sounds off the bat. You don't have to do crazy amount of mixing. A lot of drums today as well, people are making these drums like the highest level that they can be without clipping, and most of these drums don't even need a lot of stuff done to them. A little bit of EQ and a little bit of punchiness clipping if you want that sound, you know what I mean? You can really go crazy and make it distorted. Experiment, but this is just like a general foundation for you guys, you know, how you can mix things together. If you wanted to as well, you could go ahead and add your drums to a drum bus, how I did the melody before, put more compression on there and really get them like hitting hard. But you don't have to do that. These drums are hitting hard. You can hear it like, so this is general foundation. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss when we drop over here. Everybody stay too focused. Have a great day. We outie.